Okay, so you know how sometimes it feels like you're just hitting the same wall over and over again in relationships?
Yeah, like you're stuck in a loop or something.
Right, and you just can't seem to figure out why.
Exactly.
Well, we are diving into this idea of limiting beliefs today.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and how these beliefs can actually totally sabotage your relationships.
Like sabotage even when you're really trying.
Exactly,
Yeah.
even when you have the best intentions. And get this, the material we're looking at today, a podcast episode in Portuguese.
Whoa, in Portuguese.
Yeah, it's about this group in Brazil called Casal na Graça.
Casal na graça.
Yeah, it means couple in grace.
Oh, okay, cool.
And they help couples overcome these mental blocks.
So even though it's in Portuguese, these are like universal relationship issues.
Absolutely. These are things that everyone deals with no matter what language they speak. It's like you don't have to speak Portuguese to get it.
Right.
So the podcast starts with this super powerful metaphor.
Okay.
It talks about these heavy backpacks.
Backpack.
Yeah, like filled with baggage from our past relationships.
Oh, I see.
You know, like all those old hurts, disappointments,
Yeah.
just negative stuff we drag into new relationships.
How about even realizing it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like lugging around all this weight. And then we wonder why we're exhausted in our relationships.
Yeah, totally makes sense. So what kind of things would be in these backpacks?
Right. Well, think about it. Is there a pattern you repeat in relationships?
Yeah, I think we all have those.
Right. So what belief might be hiding in there?
Ooh, that's a good question to ask yourself.
It is. The podcast gives examples like, nobody truly loves me.
Oh,
Right. Or relationships are just destined to fail.
yeah, those are some heavy ones.
Talk about setting yourself up for a rough time.
Seriously.
It's wild how these beliefs often form without us even realizing it.
Subconsciously, right.
Exactly. And then they become these self-fulfilling prophecies. We expect the worst.
And then act in ways that make it happen.
Totally. It's like you're expecting everyone to leave you, so you push them away before they even get the chance.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So the podcast uses this other analogy, a faulty GPS.
Okay.
So these limiting beliefs are like bad programming.
Steering us in the wrong direction.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
toward the same negative outcomes over and over.
Even when we really want something different.
Exactly. But how do we reprogram this internal GPS? It sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it?
Well, the first step is just becoming aware of it.
Right, recognizing the patterns.
Yeah, just noticing them is huge.
It is.
You mentioned those common limiting beliefs. You think people are ever aware of those, like deep down?
Ooh, that's a really interesting question.
Like maybe they're just scared to admit it.
Even to themselves.
Yeah.
It's like they know the GPS is messed up, but they're terrified to turn it off.
Because what if that's all they know?
Exactly. What if they don't know how to navigate without it?
Right.
That's where casal na graça comes in. They use different approaches, coaching, psychoanalysis, to help couples.
Help them identify and overcome those beliefs.
Exactly. You know, the podcast mentioned psychoanalysis.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that's just, lying on a couch talking about your childhood.
Right, right.
But modern psychoanalysis can actually give you really specific tools.
To challenge those beliefs.
Yes. It's like learning to read a map for yourself instead of blindly following that broken GPS.
I like that.
And they share these really inspiring success stories. Like there's one couple who rebuilt trust after infidelity.
Wow.
Talk about a heavy backpack, right?
Yeah.
And then there's another couple who learned to communicate better, to actually build empathy.
Which can be so hard.
Way easier said than done. My partner and I are definitely still working on that.
Aren't we all?
Right.
Those examples, though, they show how casal na graça is helping couples build healthier skills.
Absolutely.
Like the couple dealing with infidelity, they had to work through so much pain and betrayal.
For sure.
And the other couple had to learn how to really listen.
And express their needs.
Yeah, it's about addressing the root of the problem.
Not just the symptoms.
Exactly.
So it's like they're not just fixing the GPS.
They're teaching you to be a better navigator.
Yes. So what does all of this mean for you? The big takeaway is that these limiting beliefs, they're super common. But if you can recognize them and start to work on them, it can lead to much stronger relationships.
More fulfilling relationships, too.
Absolutely. But here's a final thought I want to leave you with.
Okay.
The podcast focused on romantic relationships, but honestly, I think these limiting beliefs can really mess with friendships, too.
Oh, interesting.
Like if you start assuming that everyone's going to betray you.
You might end up pushing them away.
Exactly. And then guess what happens?
They end up betraying you.
It's like that faulty GPS leading you down the wrong path in every area of your life. So how could identifying and challenging these beliefs maybe lead to positive change, not just in your love life, but in all your relationships. Something to think about.
It is. Really makes you think
It does.
about all your different relationships now you approach them.
Exactly.
Wow, food for thought.
Right. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
This was great.